Hello literature connoisseurs. Let's begin chapter 4 of Nicolae. The chapter begins with a quick paragraph of Rayford flying as Nicolae gets ready for a supposed live broadcast. Scene changes to Buck and he tells Verna that he found a room for her. Verna asks why he's being so nice after the terrible way she's been acting. Ignoring that the whole thing was Buck's fault and he was the instigator in the whole mess. The drive to Bruce's old secretary and Verna is so touched, in the head, that she offers Buck her phone and car. Which he takes without question. Even when Bruce's old secretary offers to find him a car. He refuses to wait. He turns on the radio and it gets announced that Nicolae is giving a speech. Scene changes to Rayford and we get told that Nicolae is acting like a prima donna as he gets ready. Once again the cult mindset takes effect as Rayford wishes he had a weapon. Ironically, in the last book this was exactly how his daughter was acting. As well as being an overgrown 3-year-old. Hypocrite much. So he wants to kill Nicolae only because his book of fables tells him supposedly that Nicolae is evil. Scene changes to Rayford as he watches Nicolae's live broadcast. This turns into more fluff by the authors because it has Nicolae pretending to be humble and sad about having to attack the rebels. Scene changes to Buck as he complains about what a lousy car Verna has. The same car she graciously loaned him for some strange reason. I mean, she was worried about his wife being in danger, but self-absorbed Buck cares only about himself. Chloe can't be his slave if she's dead after all. Buck notices that no one is obeying traffic laws and this has led to major traffic jams on the highway. Buck curses as he tries to call Chloe again and the call goes straight to voicemail. Scene changes back to Rayford as he gives orders to his slave wife, Amanda. She asks why, but all we get is, "Trust me." The scene changes back to Buck and we get a very stupid scene here. Buck manages to get out of traffic but the road is blocked. Someone tries to stop him but Buck shouts that he's with the press and the person lets him go. Since when do the press have greater control than the police or FBI? Scene changes to Rayford as he finishes giving orders to his slave Amanda. He then finishes up with his co-pilot and starts asking personal questions in some strange way to try and witness by trying to warn him about the danger he's walking into. The young man blows him off by asking him what business it is that he should know his personal stuff. Rayford makes a lame excuse that you can't save everyone. He could have said something along the lines of, "I thought I heard that the city was attacked and you should be careful." Instead of questions like, "Where are you going after you leave here?" Rayford then asks one of Nicolae's aides if Fortuno will be joining them. The aide said he will join them soon and we get a snarky thought from Rayford saying, "Not if I can help it." So why exactly is Rayford hoping to delay Fortuno? Is he just trying to be difficult with everyone? Scene changes to Buck. I'm gonna stop right here and point out that this is just a possible example of writer's block by the authors. We are getting short tidbits that really have no value to the story in general. The last 4 chapters I've completely blanked out what is going on because there has been nothing substantive written. Mostly the characters whining and giving each other ridiculous orders. Not to mention the cult mentality and the overreacting to the situations. If anyone has a real clue what is going on, please leave it in the comments. I suppose it's safe to say I'm getting burned out and loss of interest at this point. Kind of like writer's block but for the reader. These chapters can be summed up as the following. Buck wants to walk across the street. He gets ready then realizes he never told his dad he loves him. Scene changes to Rayford as he sits at a table and wonders what to order for food. Scene changes to Buck. He presses the walk button on the corner and is afraid to take the first step. Scene changes to Rayford and he reads a menu that magically was given to him and he makes remarks about the service here. Scene changes back to Buck and he wants to call his wife to ask her how should he walk across the street but he doesn't know her phone number. Scene changes to Rayford. A waitress approaches and asks if he's ready to order and he makes snarky comments like he was ready an hour ago. Scene changes to Buck as he takes his first step to crossing the street as waiting cars are honking their horns at him. He takes the first step and is overwhelmed with fear but after the first step he relaxes. Scene changes back to Rayford and he doesn't like the food so he leaves without paying and no tip. End of example. It's sad to say but that little paragraph I just created was better written than the entire 4 chapters of this novel. That's really telling you something. Back to Buck. He has a flat tire and the police approach him. They find his fake ID on him and tell him that owning a fake ID is punishable by death. One could hope at this point. The cops learn he works for Nicolae and they ignore the whole thing as Buck gives them orders about what to do with Farina's car. The scene changes to Rayford as he delays his flight crew for some reason, or maybe I missed the reason. He gets yelled at by the tower for delaying but he tells them off. It seems he waits for the plane. The new co-pilot departs and Rayford is joined by his old co-pilot. Scene changes to Buck and he suddenly realizes that Verna could learn he's a Christian and it would ruin him. He calls her up and tells her she needs a new car, which he agrees to buy her a new one, and this feels like a bribe. The conversation suddenly changes to Verna talking about how strange a woman Bruce's old secretary is. He ends the call to her and remembers that he promised Bruce's old secretary to pray for Verna. He suddenly realizes that he has been going to church for over 18 months and he still does not know how to pray. I mean, seriously. Do you now understand why I called him Worthless Bruce? We're to believe he went on missionary trips to start up other churches of Christians that don't know how to pray either. Maybe Bruce considered himself God, since he is their cult leader, and talking to him is like praying. He decided to call Chloe again but forgets that the last number he called was Verna and he calls them back. This time he gets a bunch of messages from everyone he knows except Chloe. This is weird because she was with Bruce's old secretary. Then where did she go? She said she was calling Donnie to get new super cell phones and she somehow vanished. So Buck tries to decide what to do in order to get a hold of Chloe. Scene changes to Rayford and another stupid scene of a flight attendant annoying him that Nicolae doesn't want to sit in his seat as the plane gets ready to take off. Rayford describes that Carpathia is above the rules and can do what he wants. So the co-pilot says yeehaw as if he is a cowboy for some reason. Nicolae gets thrown as the plane accelerates and his flunkies act concerned. I'm guessing this is supposed to be humor but it really comes off as lame. Scene changes back to Buck and he gets another call from Verna telling him that Chloe tried to call her office. Buck is happy to know she is alive but can't get a hold of her. This ends the chapter, if you can call this drivel that. 90% of this chapter is fluff and filler, and it's no wonder that readers, like myself, get burnt out and lose interest in the novels. This is also one of the smallest books in the series, with Tribulation Farce being a close second. Not sure if the authors were rushing to put out the content or what, but these 2 books have been completely unimpressive. As far as the Christian aspect, there has been little to nothing for theology. See you next time for Chapter 5 of Nicolae.